the call. Welcome to our weekly team call, you guys. Today is April 30th. It is the last day of the month, and we are ending this month on fire. Like the team, I'm pretty sure hit like record Success Club numbers, record like rank advancement, so many emeralds popped. My second CVC went Ruby today, which is really exciting. And like a bunch, there were so many emeralds that popped and so many people in Success Club and so many lives changed. I'm really excited just about the momentum that everybody's creating. And I think this call with our wonderful guest speaker, who's a dear friend of mine, Ruthie, will just propel us into a really strong May. Ruthie is a wealth embodiment coach, and she's going to talk to us about keeping an abundance mindset during everything going on. And yeah, I'm just going to kick it off to her so she can dive right in.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. So I teach money mindset, and I do a lot of wealth embodiment as well. So the way that I do my work is a little bit different. Obviously, I work through mindset and clearing blocks, but I also take a holistic approach. So a lot of the work that I do is like throughout the body and like tapping into energy and things like that. So it's very different. Not a lot of people talk about that kind of thing with money, but it makes a lot of sense. Because if we don't feel safe in our bodies, right, we're not going to allow ourselves to receive money, compliments, love, all of that. So if there's blocks energetically or mindset blocks or whatever, it will block us from receiving. So I wanted to talk today about an abundance mindset. And I mean, shit's hitting the fan right now. We're all in this like quarantine, and people are losing their jobs, and people are stressed out, and they're having a really hard time. I mean, you guys know that, right? But we can still make money. And I think like more than ever now, people like you guys are needed. Coaches are needed, whether you're doing health and fitness coaching or you're doing life coaching or you're doing nutrition or you're doing money coaching. You're needed. You have something to offer. You have a gift that could potentially be an outlet for someone during a really hard time. So I want to start with that, is that knowing the truth about what you have to offer allows you to connect to an abundance mindset in a different way. When you know the truth about who you are and why you're here, witnessing the stories that are keeping you stuck, it's so much easier, and you can recognize them as stories versus truth, right? So what does it take to have an abundance mindset? A willingness to look at your shitty money story, right? Like a willingness like to go, okay, this doesn't feel good. Every time I go to the grocery store, I hope I have enough. I freak out. I panic. I check my bank account obsessively. I feel shame around my debt. I really don't know where the challengers are going to come from. How the hell am I going to hit Success Club in a pandemic? This is crazy. But let me just remind you guys that like you had a record-breaking month. Like there is no need to worry about it. So a willingness to look at your story, a drive to get to the root of it, because it's exactly like fitness or like health issues, right? Like you can do all of these things to help on the surface, right? But when we get to the root cause, that's when we really start healing a lot of like gut issues or autoimmune stuff or whatever, right? We get to the root cause, but it's the same thing with money. When we get to the root cause of what co-created the negative story in your past, 9 times out of 10, it's something a parent passed down to you. So it's a pattern that you witnessed or was generationally passed down to you, or the environment in which you grew up. I grew up in a family of 12, and we had one income. So my mom was like a serious couponer, and I heard no like all the time. So I didn't get a lot of things that most people with privilege and wealth do nowadays. We didn't even like get to buy organic food. So I'm very privileged because I'm able to do that now. But I also did the work to get there. So I too was a Beachbody coach. And when I was a Beachbody coach, I pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. I didn't even know money mindset was a thing when I was a coach. And it wasn't until I decided, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel good. I can see there's like resistance towards money and I'm making the same amount. Nothing's growing. This feels really frustrating. And of course, there's a lot that goes into that. But once I started doing the deeper work around getting to the root cause of what's causing me to barely make it every month, right? That's an energetic belief. Like that's a belief that I'm only allowed to receive specific amounts of money every month. I was able to get to the root of it, right? And then I started to express compassion and forgiveness to my parents, really, because that's where I got all of these really shitty money story beliefs. And then I was, after being able to do all of that really hard work, because it's really hard work, I empowered myself to choose a different thought. You know, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have read like Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass, or like Manifestation Babe, 21 Days to like manifest whatever. And that's all awesome. I love that. But we can't affirm our way to our desires. We have to do the deep, deep, deep work in order to change what's going on in the body so that we allow ourselves to receive. So how to maintain an abundant mindset now is this work, is writing out your stories. What are my stories? Why do I feel I'm like only allowed, like I'm capped out? Like how many of you guys feel that? The income hasn't really changed. You're like kind of capped at a specific amount every month. You can't get past Success Club 3 or Success Club 6 or Success Club 10 or whatever. Like I'm not rank advancing. I feel really stuck. I know Kate sent me a couple of your guys's like feedback from people getting stuck and being a poor. People are still afraid that we're afraid that people can't afford this right now. When I invite people, they think I'm only in it for the money. I feel like I can't start really talking about coaching and building a business without an income or until I'm making really good money. I don't want them to think I'm only doing it for the money, and I want to stop myself every time I start to see success because I have a limiting belief around not being worthy enough. So these are all so powerful because if we get to the root of all of that, it is a worthiness issue. What will happen what if I am in it for the money? Like, because you guys are building a business to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. It's when we reframe it and we go, money makes me more of who I am. Money makes me a better leader because I can provide, I'm less stressed. I can show up differently for my family, for my team, for my customers. I have something that could save someone's life. That's worth $160. And let me just tell you that like people are spending money right now. Not everybody's lost their jobs. So let me break down a little bit for you guys. When we're stuck in a story, there's a secondary gain to staying in the story. Psychologically and so like subconsciously, we participate in the story to keep ourselves stuck because we don't feel safe being anywhere else. So we don't feel safe being successful. We don't feel safe receiving money or hitting rank or hitting Success Club or being wealthy because it's something different. It's something new and it feels really uncomfortable, right? So if I have a story that says, if I make a lot of money, or if I run this like a business, people are going to think I'm only in it for the money. And the fear is the fear of rejection. right? There's a fear underlining the story. So I'm going to type this in the chat box. There's a fear, and then there's a story, and then a fear. I should have typed this all out. And then a secondary gain, and then the secondary gain and all of the fear and the stories are happening because there's a need that's not being met. So to give yourself a different experience that's actually healing, you can reparent yourself or give yourself what you're needing in that moment. So if your story is, I don't want people to think I'm in it for the money, then the fear is that people are going to judge you for running a business. People are going to hate on you. There's a lack of there's like a lack of acceptance and love. And the secondary gain is never actually experiencing success. The secondary gain is not taking a risk to see how much it could grow. The secondary gain is never stepping out of your comfort zone, not being seen, not being heard, not being wealthy. And then the need is acceptance. Does that make sense? And so what I would love for you guys to do, and maybe this is something you guys could practice on and post in your Facebook group or whatever as a team, is take your top 3 stories and break that down so that you can see the areas that you could work on. And the areas that you can work on are those needs, right? How can you give yourself self-acceptance even when you don't hit Success Club, or when you don't hit your goals every month, or when you are hitting your goals every month and you're celebrating instead of going, oh, that wasn't enough. It still doesn't feel like enough. Because that's how we keep an abundant mindset, is we allow ourselves to receive and we go, it's good enough. It's good. It's good enough. Not from a place of, it's good enough. From a place of, I am enough. I am enough. And that's what all of these stories, you know, like getting stuck and being poor, never being rich. I'm always going to be poor. Fear of dying when you break it down because you're in survival all the time, right? Secondary gain, people like rescuing you, never really having to like step out and figure shit out on your own, connection through that experience. And the need is reminding yourself that you're safe. So just working through all of that will help you a lot, but it's a constant reframe. And the reason why I do embodiment work is because affirmations aren't enough. It's about energy. It's about being in the body. It's about feeling safe. It's about allowing yourself to be this divine, amazing, feminine, badass who is deserving. And so I want to also drive home the fact that being in an abundant mindset is a choice. Just like showing up for your workout, just like showing up on your stories, just like promoting your challenge groups and your coaching opportunities and talking about your coach pop-up groups and things like that. It's a choice. And it's something you have to show up for every single day. And it's not easy. And it takes constant effort to reframe. When you do the work, the deep work around like understanding why you have these stories or where they come from, and then forgiving and like clearing it out, you move through those triggers and those stories a lot faster. So you're always going to have those triggers and those feelings of like, fuck, I'm really in this place again. But you move through it way faster with this approach. So instead of being stuck in that mindset for like weeks or even months, now it's like 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. It gets really, really fast. So I do want to remind you guys that it is 1000% a decision that you have to make. It's like sobriety. You have to make the decision, and then it's a moment to moment commitment. And when exactly, Kate's right. Like you have the tools to work through it when you're like, oh, that's my mom's shit. That's not mine. that's my mom being like a mother of 10 and in a single income family and staying at home with everybody and really just trying to make every dollar count. I am not my mother. That's not my story. It ends right here. And so this is a lot of like intense work, because for a long time we've equated wealth and worthiness as the same thing. Like, I make all this money and that makes me good enough and that makes me worthy, but they're two separate concepts, right? You're worthy because you exist, not because you have this crazy amount of income or because you hit your goals or because you have a new coach on your team. You're worthy because you are, because the universe made you that way. You wouldn't be anything else. So that's my spiel on having an abundant mindset. And in a pandemic, it's really challenging because I don't know about you guys, but I'm a very sensitive person. Like I'm like super empathetic and seeing other people struggle and seeing other people in it and going through it and losing their jobs and grieving and feeling all this stuff, it's really hard to see. So I invite you to like show up even bigger with what you have to offer people, which is an outlet. You're offering these people an outlet to get their stress out, which could be a life saver. Like, there's more people who have mental health issues like anxiety and depression than I think with COVID. I don't know if I'm right on that, but intuitively I feel that, because we're all locked inside and we're being isolated, and you know the drill. So it's not about like you out to get someone. And a lot of times, like, you can address this stuff in your content. One thing I was talking with Kate about is like, I've had over $22,000 in sales this month in my business and $10,000 cash, over $10,000 cash. And a lot of that had to do with the way that I spoke in my content. And so if you guys are doing income posts, you want to speak to the energy that you want to draw in, not the pain point, right? So we're vision casting from a place of where do you want to go versus the struggle that you're in right now. And you will be able to call in people who will be willing to invest, because that is when we serve people's pain points, we're most likely going to get call in, receive, welcome in people to our environment that are really struggling. They're in their trigger, they're in their pain, they're not fully committed and ready. And when that happens, you get roller coaster results, right? So how many of you guys have noticed that, or in like the first couple of months of coaching, you kind of notice that you start a program and day 15 to 21 is like when people fall off. It's like they talk about it on the national wake up call. It's a thing. It happens. That's because it's a mindset thing. It's a commitment. And that's when it gets really hard. And that's also because of delayed onset muscle soreness, and shit hits the fan around then. And like programs get a little bit harder and people are like, this, I'm going to go back to walking outside or whatever. But yeah, it's a commitment, right? And so when you guys are writing your income posts, make sure that you're coming from a place of the kind of woman you want to call in to join your team, not like, oh, I can actually help you make a lot more money if you're struggling right now. Because the key word is struggling, right? We want people who are vision oriented, future oriented, commitment oriented. And that's like how we call in people who are ready to go and like contribute. And they're like, where do I go? Where do I sign? I'm ready. Let's do this. And the roller coaster results also happen because success is it's a result of your internal environment. So if your internal environment is all crazy and fucked up, your results are going to be like this. right? And like sometimes that's going to happen because this is like the work. You're in it all the time, like mindset work and really healing all of the reprogramming and changing the way you think and all of that. It takes a lot of work. And right now, there's a lot of women who, and a lot of people in general, who don't have support. And so it feels really impossible. But you guys have a gift you can offer people. So talk about that. Talk about how you have a stress relief, you have a gift, community, what's keeping you showing up every single day. So it's never about the money. It's always something deeper. And it was interesting because when I did do Beachbody as a business, I had such a hard time signing $160 challenge packs. I was fucking pushing so hard. But then when I shifted and started doing my business now, I came from a place of flow, and I trusted that like every single person that came into my space was someone I was meant to serve on some level. And I had a total detachment. Not that I didn't give a fuck, but I was okay no matter what, because what was in their highest was in my highest. And my very first time I offered private coaching, I sold it out in like 2 weeks because I was like totally okay with it not working out, but I was also coming from a place of flow. So like, don't push. You'll get sick. Just work on your internal environment and still do all the practical things, right? Like show up in your stories, do your vitals, do all of those things. Yes. And then let the universe take over. Right? So that's kind of my spiel on like keeping an abundant mindset. It's never about the money. It's always how we feel about having it or not having it. So how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel when you have a lot of money? That's what you got to focus on. And you assume that energy in this moment. And then you attract it in, right? So Kate, is it cool if we open up like Q&A kind of thing and we just kind of popcorn, or if you have something, raise your hand and we can unmute you? And I'm also open to like helping somebody through like a pressing issue or hot seat coaching or whatever. So if anybody has a question and you want to unmute yourself, go for it. Okay, cool. Rachel.
I can figure out how to unmute myself. Is it possible for you to go over a couple more examples of the, what did I write down? The secondary gain.
Yeah, the fear, the story, the fear, the secondary gain thing.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll just do mine, right? I don't want to show, here's my story. I don't want to show up online because my ex is a fucking psycho and he screenshots all my stuff. Fear, losing it all, right? Losing it all. Everything I've worked so hard for, losing it all. Totally irrational, would never happen, right? But my secondary gain is never having to fully step out and like be bold and be me and be seen and be who I am, right? It's like this caged peacock, never being able to like flaunt my feathers, right? And the need is allowing myself that expression, right? The need is having my own process, doing it my own way, being able to be myself and have it all. So how can I give that experience to myself without self-sabotaging, without staying in the story and the fear? Does that make sense?
It does. So kind of my takeaway of it is the secondary gain is kind of like what you're missing out on because of the fear. Like if you stay in the fear, that's kind of what the secondary.
It's why you stay in the fear.
Okay.
You stay, it's like the benefit, right? It's like the subconscious gain of staying. It's like why you stay in the fear. So like I stay in that story so I don't ever have to fully be seen, right? I don't ever have to like manage success, because if I had to manage success, I could fuck that up too. I could lose all of that. So like it's the brain's fucked up way of keeping you in your story. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like
stay comfortable, right?
Yeah, totally. Or just like staying in your patterns and never fully changing, right? It's like why you stay. So another example is like I'm not going to go all in on my business. Okay. That's the story. I'm not ready. I need other things to be perfect before I can be ready. I'm not ready. That's the story. The fear is failure. The secondary gain is never actually having success and never knowing what that feels like, and not trusting myself. I don't fully trust myself and I don't want to fuck it up. So I'm just going to stay small and comfortable. Right. And the need is knowing that it's safe. It's safe to take risks. It's safe to go all in. And it's also safe to fail, because that's when we really learn a lot about ourselves, and we build resilience, which is so needed, especially as a coach, because you guys are going to get told no all the time. And when you learn how to not take that personally and realize that it's just someone who's not ready, and you kind of drop the story of, oh, I suck, I'm failing, and you can just go, they're not ready yet, and that's okay. They're where they're supposed to be at in their journey, and I will be here when they are ready. So awesome question. I love it. I'm hoping those examples are spot on. Does anybody else have anything? Feel free to unmute yourself and just go for it.
Okay, when you're having an off day, because I think there totally is something to the energy aspect of what you're doing and what you're putting out there. Because
Yeah.
I know I'll show up in my business and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rock it. I'm in the best mood. I feel it. I feel abundant. And then there's days where I'm Rowan didn't sleep. I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. I am in the gnarliest mood where I want to play the victim. That's what it is. I want to be the victim of my circumstances. I want to, and then I'm still doing the work. But how, if you're in that place, what do you do to check your energy? What
I move my body. All fear and resistance is just stuck energy. So the best thing you can do, how many of you guys are familiar with chakras and the energy centers in the body? So the sacral chakra and the solar plexus and the root chakra are all about money, right? Specifically the sacral chakra, because it's about creativity and creation and femininity. And I like to think of, okay, so money, we have to change our idea of what money is, right? And I totally space on even mentioning this, right? But money is a neutral resource, right? It's there to support you. It's there to make you more of who you are. So all of these stories about how money grows on trees and there's not enough to go around and there's only so much, or all of that, we have to reframe, because money's being created every day. And we're actually I think we're going to be going to a digital currency, which is kind of creepy and fucked up and scary to me. But that means there's endless amounts, right? And even then, even if we didn't move there, we would still have endless amounts, because they're printing it every single day. It's being created. So money is a neutral resource. It literally does what you tell it to do. And you get to create your own rules with money. So I'm taking care, Kate, you can be it's coming, I'm fine. I'm just going to focus on taking care of my baby. Okay. I'm just going to take care of myself and take care of my baby, and the money's coming. And you do all the practical things, right? On your good days, you do all the practical things, and that energy will outweigh all the days when you're kind of medium or whatever, because those days, your energy will be so powerful that people can feel it, right? And even Kate, on your bad days, you're still pretty fucking vibrant, okay? Let's be real. You're pretty magnetic. So I don't think you really have anything to worry about. It's just one of those things where we just have to, and those days we have to have a toolkit, right? We have to have a toolkit, and we have to have a phone tree. So in the toolkit, we have all the essentials, affirmations, workouts, I like card decks. So I have this card deck. It's a Kyle Gray card deck, Keepers of the Light. Gabby Bernstein has a Super Attractor card deck. They're all abundance and law of attraction, mantras and affirmations, and just whatever you need to do, whatever's in your toolkit. Essential oils. I have essential oils. I have drumsticks if I'm really triggered or really messed up, I'll go beat on a drum or I'll go beat on a pillow and just like get that energy out. But the best thing you can do with stuck or stagnant energy is move your body, and specifically move your hip area, because that's where the sacral chakra is. So like getting your body up and moving, like swaying your hips. So like doing a size workout or country heat, or I know those are like really cheesy or whatever, but like something to like move the energy in this hip. So have a playlist, right? A playlist of music and just fucking dance. Like get that energy out. But you want to drop into the body and move that energy up and out, because all fear and resistance and like shitty attitudes and moods and stuff is just stuck energy. So we got to move it up and out. And money is also an energy. So when you're taking the steps to realign with money, it will respond to you. Right? So I have that kind of toolkit where like I have all of those things. And then I have a phone tree type thing where like I have like a list of like 5 people I reach out to: my coach, my best friend, my husband, if I feel like it. Sometimes I take on his shitty energy around money, and that's also really hard. If you have a partner who isn't interested in doing the mindset work, that's a really tough place to be, and it's all about boundaries. But I have like a list of people that I'm like, I'm in a funk. Can you just like talk me through this, or like coach me through this for a second? And so I have a list of people that I do that. So that's what I do to like maintain my energy, but also like salt baths. Salt baths are so good for the sacral chakra, and they're so grounding. So like you could do a face mask, like a clay face mask for the root chakra. You can get in the bath and have some Epsom salt with some oils for the sacral chakra. And, you know, you can Google like what oils for what chakra, and it would be so beneficial. So I hope that's helpful. Does anybody else have any questions?
Hi. So I've done like a lot of work with Lacey Phillips and the To Be Magnetic field on blocking money, because that's been a huge source of contention for me. And since I've started doing that, and going all in, this has been phenomenal. But how would you? My partner is not at all interested in the mindset work, thinks it's fake, it doesn't exist. So I don't want to like dig into that too much because it's about coaching, but how would you overcome or suggest overcoming that with people who you can kind of spot that have that block without kind of scaring them away? Because, not everyone is going to be receptive to.
Yeah, I totally get that. That's a great question. In my first year of my business, my husband was like so weird about money. Like his mom had passed away and he received like a pretty large, what do you call it? Inheritance. And he was so afraid it was going to run out. And I was like, we are smart, skilled people. We will be able to figure out how to make it grow. But he was insistent that we were going to run out and it was never going to grow. And he was just in this place of fear. I could never share like all my breakthroughs and all my excitement and all my wins. Like I had my first like 5-figure month and I couldn't share it with him. It was so frustrating. But the best thing it's like a weight loss journey, right? Like if you're in a partner and you're in a partnership with someone and you're like, I'm ready to go all in, right? And they're like, I'm not quite ready. But what do they say? Like in Beachbody, they say, keep inviting, right? Keep inviting, stay in your own lane. So like for me with him, I had to lead by example, right? I had to stay in my own lane, keep my head down, blinders on, kind of like a tunnel vision. But then also like whenever he would get in those, moods or like have that kind of attitude, I would have to like set an energetic boundary and be like, I am a screen, not a sponge. I do not take on any of that shit. And like whenever he gets into that place, I just hold the space and I listen, but I don't take any of that energy on. And then I like clear the shit out of myself after, because we're so like our energetic field extends like 3 feet to 4 feet outside of ourselves, right? And so like we're all very vulnerable to taking on other people's energy all the time. And if you get into how many of you guys have like gone to a party or like been at Summit, and like part of the reason why Summit hangovers are like so real is because there's so much energy. It's like 20,000 people and everybody's different and they're all like high on like the event and everything. And then you're just like, holy shit, energy hangovers are so real. But when it comes to like your partner, like all you can do is control yourself, right? Like, so stay in your own lane and find someone else to share with. Like, that's going to make you feel really good and really excited. Like, find an environment or a relationship where you can share this stuff with, where you're like, I have to share with someone or I'm going to explode. Because I've been finding that like sometimes I can't share with my husband and it sucks, but it's better for me because I stay in that high vibe and I don't let that, like, I'm not putting myself in a situation where I could like be affected or take on the negative energy or the fear or the doubt. Like, is this really working? You know, because my husband thinks my crystals and my oils are bullshit, and that's fine. But I know what I feel when I'm with them, and that's all that matters to me. And it's clearly fucking working. Like, I make like 6 figures. So like, I really don't care what you think or not. You know what I mean? It's all about like your experience and how it makes you feel. And you just stay in your own lane and set that boundary. And you don't even have to tell them that you're setting a boundary. You just be like, yeah, cool. I'm done. I'm doing it. Feel what you feel. I feel what I feel. I mean, that's what's worked for me. And it's been so hard because I get so excited and I want to share with him, you know, but sometimes I can't. And that's also okay because that's his journey. And there have been times when he's been so resistant and then he's like, okay, tell me what you're doing. So they do come around eventually, right? We just have to let them have their process while having the boundary of like, don't judge me. Don't shit talk me, that kind of thing, like a respectful thing. Does that help?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking for my mute.
That's okay.
So it does. And I feel like I've gotten to a pretty good place with him in that respect.
Good.
He's in marketing and sales. So like if I speak to him in that sense, he gets it. But in terms of like, for some reason, I haven't gotten to that place with people that I'm coaching, like, and helping them see that, like, I can kind of spot where their blocks are and helping them kind of figure that out in a way so they can see this coaching business the way, you know, some of us do. Yeah.
I think the best way to get through blocks is to find the root cause. It's like the most sustainable. It actually lasts, because if you're just like, oh, what's your block? Here's an affirmation. People don't have the tools to like actually do the real work that makes a huge difference in your energy field, right? And so like, that's why I take a holistic approach, because it lasts. It lasts. Like, I could teach you how to make money. I could teach you how to manifest like that, but I want you to have success. I want you to have wealth. You know what I mean? So like, helping them understand where those blocks come from and work through those big triggers. And I'm not saying trigger people on purpose, because that's really dangerous. I'm saying listen and ask a lot of questions. Like, that's what coaches with business are supposed to do. But also, I want to point out too that if your partner's in marketing and sales, that's a very masculine industry to be in. Like, that's very cutthroat, and they don't give a fuck about feelings. And I used to be in transportation, and there was a lot of like sleazy, skeezy sales dudes that were just so gross. You know, I'm not saying that's your partner, but I'm saying that like, it's a very masculine, black or white way of thinking. And energy is feeling. So it's very feminine. So that's just something to think about too. They may not understand the energetics of it because it's foreign. It's like girly, you know? Anyway, rambling a little bit. So I hope that's helpful.
One thing I want to highlight that you said that I think is huge, because I know I definitely have family and I've had to work through a lot of stories, like you said, that I took on from like my parents struggling with money, growing up struggling with money. We were evicted from our house. Like we lived in my dad's car. Like there's a lot of shit that I've unpacked.
I mean, that's a lot of trauma. That's a lot of trauma. And if you don't take that time to unpack that, you carry it in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even realize it's there, you know?
And so, but when I'm still around, like my mom, both my parents are alcoholics. My mom is what, like everybody, if you're familiar with AA, like they call it dry drunk. She stopped working the program years ago, and like she's in that very negative mindset. So if I'm around her too much, like I get caught up in that very easily. So I really like what you said about like I'm a screen, I'm not a sponge. But also I think that it's really easy for all of us, especially newer coaches though, when you're around people who are anti-MLM and anti like Beachbody, to like take that on. Or like when you are inviting and you hear somebody that's like, oh, it's a pyramid scheme, or oh, they're anti-MLM, it's like really easy to be like, oh, I feel bad about what I'm sharing, when realistically,
Sure.
like you just keep sharing. So I wanted to like really highlight the fact about the energy that you take on from other people and like what you say, because I think that's huge. And like the success that you see with your business is just not, again, taking
Right.
other people's shit on. Like
Right, exactly. And like I said, success is a result of your internal environment. If you're solid, it will show on the outside. And the more you keep working on it, and the more you keep nurturing your energetic field and your body and your mindset and your thoughts, your frequency, all of your emotions, all of that stuff, that's like the work, right? And it's a commitment. But it will go from like, you will go from maybe hitting Success Club, like, you know, every other month, to hitting it every month and then some. Like not just hitting Success Club 5 or 6, but like 10, 20, 30 regularly. It will be consistent because you gain magnetism, and people want to be around you because they see that you're stable, you're reliable, you're healthy, you're happy, and you love your life because you love yourself, right? You show up for yourself before you show up for anybody else. It's always about like, I wake up every morning and I say, what can I do to serve my people? How do I want to feel today? And what can I do as a leader? It's never about the money, you guys. It's always about the feeling. It's about what money does for us. So I ask myself those 3 questions every single day. And honestly, like I get those like those that shit from family about network marketing and stuff. But I mean, let your results speak for themselves, right? Like let your financial success speak for itself. That could be motivation. And the misconceptions are just because somebody is like not open-minded and they're stuck in their story. So when we can see that, like when people get triggered by us or people slide into our DMs and they're assholes and they're mean, like we start to, when we do our own work, it starts to show up in the way that we respond to people, not react. And we're like, wow, they must really be hurting. They must really be afraid or really be triggered. And we can bless and release and show compassion. And every trigger that we have is just an indicator that we have more healing to do. But are you open to that? That's the commitment, right? To yourself, not just to your body and your health and your fitness, but to your well-being, to your energy, to your aura, to your magnetism, to your freaking family. Because everything that you don't work on passes down to them as a pattern. So like if you don't want your kids or your future children to accrue or assume these patterns around money and these beliefs and these stories, then do the work.
I love that. I really, really love that. As I'm like sitting here with Rowan, like I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with it. Like, I mean, honestly, that's a huge motivator for me. And I think about that all the time. Like, I never want him to grow up like knowing or watching me struggle with income, or like, you know, like anything like
Yeah.
that. I remember watching and like not understanding why we had to move all of a sudden in 72 hours because we got an eviction notice, and like having that bleed into my adult life. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but if you, for the people who really want success in this business, and you know, maybe they were laid off from another job, maybe they're struggling financially right now, and they're just, you know, really wanting to commit and go on, what are like, if you could sum it up in like 3 action steps to really get their mindset right and like things that they could do to really catapult them into May. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So 3 tips to like really like do the work around your money are like identify the stories, right?
And like really.
So let me see if I can type this out in the chat box. Identify the story and find the root cause. Then forgive yourself and the other person, because you know all these stories, they come from an incident. It's like a trauma, right? Like Kate, I'm sure there's a lot of trauma around being evicted as a kid. So like I'm sure like you may not even really feel it now, but like there was probably a time in your life when like the first of the month was like the fucking scariest day of your life.
No, I still, and even when I have my rent paid, like I it's still
Right.
like a weird anxiety trigger.
Yeah. So like we want to go back to the original incident, not for the sake of triggering and causing pain and hurt, but for the sake of forgiveness. Right. So like
I want to cry.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So like there's a lot of stuff for you to do around your mom and dad, right? And like the experiences that you didn't get to have, right? Because of them not doing the work. And so we go, I'm going to cry.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, like
Cool.
this is so much deeper than money. This is like trauma work. And so there's a lot of expression that has to happen around the experience that you didn't get to have with like a stable home and like you know, and for those of you who are single parents, like Amber, I know you're a single parent. I know that like you work your ass off, and you know, like there's so many of us that are doing the best that we fucking can right now. And I think that's like the thing we have to remember is that the people who co-created these beliefs with us or these stories, they were doing the best that they knew how to do. And so that's how we forgive and extend compassion. So forgive yourself, right, for participating in the pattern, and forgive the other person for being the cause of that pattern, right? And that clears up energetic space, like clears up a lot of space for you to receive, okay? And then the third thing is create 3 new rules with money. So like I call this the avocado rule, because when I was pregnant with my 19-month-old, I like craved avocados all the time, and it was like my first year in business, and I was like trying to have fun and like whatever, you know. And I was like, I had a full day of work, but I just wasn't feeling it. And I was like in a really shitty mood. And I knew if I showed up, it wouldn't be best for anybody. So I rescheduled everything and I went and had Mexican. And that day I made like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I was like, fuck it. Every time I eat avocado, I make money. So like create 3 new rules around money that include you having fun, feeling good, being in flow, and just have fun with it. Like start to view money as a resource that's there to support you, to make you more of who you are, to allow you to spread wealth. Like, because when women who have money feel really good and they have money, they do really good things with it. And that's the whole point of it, is to like have a lot of it so that we can put more good back out in the world, right? Right? Money is not the root of all evil. It's the behavior that's the root of evil. It's the greed that's the root of evil. But if you have a positive intention with it, you can really do something massively amazing in the world.
Can you share a couple more examples of like new rules that you with money for like?
Yeah. Like I honor myself and money always flows. Or every time I pay, I pray. Like every time I pay a bill, I pay with gratitude. I say a prayer that it comes back to me tenfold. Money flows to me effortlessly and easily. I always hit my goals. I never have to worry about pushing and grinding and forcing myself to show up every day. When I feel good, money comes to me, and just like go from there. So like when I'm with my kids, I'm still making money. Like it's just like living your life and allowing money to be flowing to you all the time. There's no condition. It's just money flows to you because you're abundant as you are and because you get to have it. That's it. So it could be anything. Could be anything. Like, I don't know. I honor the way that I want to feel, and money always comes to me. Money surprises me every day. It comes miraculously. I don't ever know where it comes from. It's the most amazing thing. It just flows or whatever. Cool.
That was super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and offer any last questions before I hop off or before we like wrap up or whatever.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm definitely going to rewatch this call.
Good.
And I feel like everybody should. I think, again, it's just something that we have to practice. Like you said, it's just like our workouts. It's just like everything else. We have to show up and do the work for this. And I think it's easy to grace over kind of like the personal development aspect of the vital behaviors. And I think this is like a key, like an offset of personal development. It should be your work around money, because you're going to hold yourself back from success if you don't do the work and like work through whatever. Even if you came from, I feel like people even struggle with it, even if they came from a like 2-parent household who
totally
I mean, it never
know. Like we weren't poor growing up by any means. Like we always had like nice things, and I played like competitive sports, but you know, my parents still fought about money all the time, and that stuff sticks, you know?
Oh my gosh.
Ruthie, I got a question. You talked about clearing energy, like when your husband is negative, and you said like you kind of made the motion of like a maybe sage. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering, could you talk about like specific like sage or what other things or types of crystals that you like that actually, because I feel like a lot of coaches are very empathetic, and I feel like we can.
Yes, I do too. Yeah, I mean, if you're in the service-based business, which you are, you have feelings for people and you feel into their energy. That's why you do what you do, because you want to see people feel good, right? So some clearing, some really good grounding crystals are like black tourmaline, smoky quartz, even like a clear quartz is really good for negative energy. So anything that's like black, gray, or white, awesome. I use Palo Santo, and I also really like sage. But if you do sage, you need to make sure that you have doors and windows open so then the negative energy can go out. So outside and you're clearing it, that's totally fine. But you want to make sure that the energy is able to move out of your space. And as you're saging, I always just say the prayer of like, universe, please clear all negative energy and only energy of the highest vibration of love allowed in my space. Or something like that. Clear this negative energy and welcome in positive energy. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like whatever is relevant to you and whatever feels good to you. But I use Palo Santo sometimes. Like I do it after every client call. I did it before I came in here. Like I'll do it after this, and then I'll go take a bath. A bath is a really good way to clear off the energy, or a hot shower is a really good way to clear off the energy. And as you're taking a bath or as you're taking a shower, just saying like, I cleanse this, please cleanse this energy out of my vessel, like wash off all this negative energy, only energy of the highest vibration of love. You know, you're setting that energetic boundary with the universe around who's allowed in your space. And to me, that's like one of the most powerful things. When my son comes home from his dad's house, that's also a really powerful time. So if any of you guys are moms who share custody of a kid, saging or clearing the space of the house, so that most kids are spongy. So they take on the energy of whoever they're around, and they don't necessarily know how to manage the energy. So sometimes they just go all over the place or whatever. So like, I know my son, his dad is a narcissist. So like, I have to clear the energy before he comes home. And Liam is very open and he's very spongy. So he takes on a lot of that negative energy and he brings it into the home. And so I like sage the doors. I put, my coach told me to put something over the doorway and I can't remember what it is, but I'll ask her and I'll DM you, Kate, and let you know what it is. But then also, like, if you have kids that are traveling like back and forth from home to home, get them a protective stone like necklace, right? So that they're not bringing that energy back into your home. Like an amethyst would be great, or like a smoky quartz or a black tourmaline to like keep in their backpack or something. So that if they do take on, or they are put in a situation where like someone else's negative energy, whether it's around money or whatever is happening, that you're still protecting yourself and your home and your environment. So hopefully that's helpful. And also I highly recommend you do clearing if you have like a really tough engagement with a client or a coach, like that's just like really hard to hear, or especially right now, like just tuning in and like holding space for people can be really draining, not because they're a burden, but because it's just a lot. And if you are very sensitive, it's really hard to not take that energy on. So just like protecting yourself so that when you do show up for your business, you are coming from a place of service and love and not a place of obligation and checking the boxes and chore, right? You're like, I feel so good. I have to tell everybody about this, right? And we can't do that if our energy is misaligned. So we have to make sure that it's like 100% clear and focused and with this intention of like integrity and service and I also want to say that like clearing your energy is with an integrity and people will freaking feel it. So that's my spiel on that.
Some sage and Palo Santo.
Yeah, you can get it at Whole Foods.
Okay.
So if you're able to like pop into Whole Foods, they have like a really cool like personal care section, and they have Epsom salt too. Like I will take a long Epsom salt bath tonight. And I will have like my crystals out, some really awesome crystals, like just really quick for like the root chakra, all of those black or gray ones, for the sacral chakra, carnelian. And then for the solar plexus, citrine, and for the heart chakra, the rose quartz. For the throat chakra, you could do amethyst or lapis lazuli. I can like make a list and send it to you, but like anything that matches the color of the chakra is usually ideal.
Yeah, I would love that list.
Cool. Yeah, I have a workbook actually that I'm going to send to Kate that you can give everybody. That's like, it's called Ditch Your Shitty Money Story Workbook. And it's just like a 10-page workbook or 10-chapter workbook. And it walks you through like all of the steps to like healing specific money stories and all the things that we talked about. And then if anybody wants to like actually go all in and like do an online course or like do something live, like reach out to me. I have an option that's like such a super low investment. Obviously, like there's no pressure. I'm giving you guys free stuff, like, because I want you guys to have this stuff to do. But if there's any part of you that, or any of you guys that are like, I want to do this live, I want the group support or whatever, like I have a group that's going right now, and I would love to have any of you that are ready to do that or wanting to do that, just reach out to me on Instagram and we can have a conversation. But Kate, I'll send you that file and you guys could just have at it.
Yay. And her Instagram handle is The Wealthy Soul. So
yeah,
make sure you go follow her. Her stories are
always
very inspiring. And again, I like to look at your stories if I just need like a pick-me-up.
I have a podcast too, and there's a podcast around debt, you know, so if like, I know a lot of coaches sign on for to run their business so that they can get out of debt or do whatever. And like, Yeah, Rachel's like, me. So there's a lot there. And I have, quite a few episodes around money and like keeping a healthy mindset around your debt is a really big one because people think it's like a dirty word and it's just a thing. It's just a decision that you made. So check out my podcast. It's the Wealthy Soul Podcast, and my Instagram handle is the Wealthy Soul. Reach out to me for anything. Like I'm in my inbox. I don't have somebody else in there. So I'm here to help and I'm here to support you guys. I also do like embodiment workshops here and there. So if you want to add me on Facebook, you can. They're free. And I love doing those because they're really powerful. So
next time you and after social distancing is over, like you and Steph Davies have done like in person, like workshops, and I want to do that. Last time I was like about to have a baby.
Yeah.
Did it like
yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Like I can come do one for your team or whatever. Like I can come do like a workshop for you guys.
That would be awesome.
Because a lot of you guys are in Portland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Seattle.
So not far.
And the embodiment workshops are so fun. They're so cool. Anyway, I won't keep you guys. I'll send you that that file and then you can post it to your team page and it will help you guys so much. Like move through the steps that I gave you, like the like 3 steps of like getting to the root cause. It helps you actually figure out what your stories are and then like how to get to the point where like who co-created it and stuff. It's like a little bit more in depth, so it will really help.
Yay, I'm so excited. And I the feedback from the team is incredible. So
yay, you guys, I'm so happy. Awesome. This is really cool.
No, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Taking time out of your evening to be here and show up for us
and
create a really awesome space for us to like go into on fire. So
it's always good to like commit to like, as a team to like commit to this work too, because then you guys can hold each other accountable and you're like, I'm really struggling today. I really need someone to send me your favorite money affirmation or what's your favorite money mantra? Like I need something to help me get through. What's your favorite playlist? I got to move my body or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes workouts, like when your workout's a part of your vital behavior and a part of like the things that your high payoff activity is what I call those. When your workout is that, it's like a chore and it's like, I don't want to do an extra workout. I want to do something fun. So having a way to like move is just so powerful.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So I'll have the recording up later tonight.
Sounds awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye guys.
Have a good night. Bye guys.